Nashua ETV, I'm Matt Neverett checking in on this year's boys and girls basketball programs at Nashua's high school. Looking at the girls' side, Bishop Guertin hopes to become the fourth team in New Hampshire history to claim their fifth consecutive state title at the Division I level, while both Nashua North and South welcome in first-year head coaches looking to reestablish their respective program. And while Bishop Guertin welcomes in John Fisher in his first year at the helm of the boys program, both North and South hoping that their coaching stability can help offset a score of roster turnovers. I'm joined by Bishop Guertin girls basketball coach Brad Craig, and you've had an unprecedented run of success since joining this school and this program 4 years ago. Right now you're looking to become just the fourth school ever to win 5 straight state championships. What would it mean for you to join that illustrious club?
Yeah, that would be something else, but honestly all I'm worried about is trying to win a game on Saturday in our home opener against LaSalle, two-time defending state champion. And we've played them each of the 4 years that I've been here, and we've split with them. So it's a great program, and we enjoy playing them every year. And we're not looking beyond Saturday at 2 o'clock at this point.
You've got a hollowed senior class, 6 seniors this year, all coming back looking for that 4th straight ring, at least in their high school basketball careers. That makes your job easy, right?
Well, it's certainly nice to have all that experience. We've had a core of 5 of those kids that have been part of the varsity program since the day they walked into the school their freshman year, and have all played big minutes and played big roles in each of the last 3 teams that they've been on. So being able to start with a core group like that is a huge advantage and a real blessing for us.
You've got all these seniors that everybody talks about, but you guys like to use a lot of depth, a 9-10 player rotation. What kind of newcomers or most improved players are we going to look at for this season?
Yeah, so I think everybody's a little better than they were last year, which is good. All the kids that are back have worked on their games. They're all coming in great shape. So again, a blessing to be able to start with that crew, but it'll be a real growth process for us. We've got 7 freshmen on the varsity roster, and some of those kids are going to need to play for us and play a real role at the varsity level in the rotation. And exactly who that is and how that all happens and when that happens is a real big question mark for us. But they've done a great job so far, and we're off to a pretty good start.
You said your goal is to just win your first upcoming game. What are some of your early season goals? Maybe not looking too far ahead, but just in the early part of the season, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, obviously I think just we have a ton of teaching to do. So the seniors, they've really stepped up and done a great job leading and actually really been coaches on the floor. And I think maybe the biggest thing right now is just making sure that we keep that group healthy. And we'll have to rely on them in a really significant way in the early part of the season, and then just teach all the young kids how we do things. On the floor, off the floor, how we practice, what our expectations are. Everything's new to them right now. Every time they step on the floor or go to a scrimmage or go down to Connecticut for a jamboree last weekend, it's a first for them and just a learning experience. So they've got the normal nerves and jitters and so forth, but every day that goes by, that gets a little bit better and a little bit easier. And so I'd say that's the biggest thing right now is just getting that young group up to speed with the basics of how we do things. And the sooner we can get that done, I think the sooner we'll hit our stride.
A perfect 23-0 record last year, 4-time state defending champion. May not seem like there's a lot to improve on, but what are some of the things that you want to improve on here in 2019-2020?
Everything. It's we had a great season last year, but I've told the kids from the get-go as we got to turn that page. It's behind. Nobody really cares about it anymore. We went down to scrimmage a really good Pentucket team 2 nights ago, turned the ball over 9 times in the first 10 minutes of the game. So right there, taking good care of the basketball. We had 16 fouls in the first quarter. So just playing good, sound, fundamental basketball is something we try to focus on every day. And the 23-0 record is fine and so forth, but to us, it's really about just doing the right things every single day and just getting a little bit better every day.
And if you had to describe your style of play as a program, what would it be?
Fast. We try to play fast. So we typically will press the majority of the game. We try to play a 94-foot game. We try to get out in transition, play a lot of up-tempo, in-your-face, pressure, man-to-man defense. So the quicker the game is and the more hectic and chaotic it is, typically the better it is for us. So it's most definitely the way we try to play.
He's Bishop Guertin head girls basketball coach Brad Craig. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Joined now by Bishop Guertin's senior guard, Hannah Muchmore. And Hannah, you've had 3 straight state championships out of the 4 total that the program has won in a row. Which one has been the sweetest for you? 1, 2, or 3? You're looking for 4 this year.
Definitely freshman year, because like going into high school, you don't know what to expect. So with like all the seniors that we had, it was like an incredible experience to win our first one.
And what's that growth process been like for you, going from that freshman winning the state championship, now as a senior, a leader of this program, really looking to solidify your place in the school's history?
Well, freshman year, like personally, I wouldn't say I played a lot, but I didn't play like little minutes. Like I definitely contributed freshman year, but with last year and even sophomore year, I definitely contributed a lot more than I did freshman year. So looking forward to this year, I hope to contribute a lot more than previous years.
What are some of the things that you think as a team that you can improve on now that you are a senior leader and you really can have some input as to what you guys need to get better on here in 2019-2020?
Well, our defense is definitely like our key point to what we do here. So I just feel like if we can be strong with our defense, our offense will just fall from turnovers and us running our fast break, and it will just go.
And if you had to describe your role personally on the team, what would that be?
I mean, I'm definitely not leading scorer like Addie and Aaron. Like they score a lot, and like I'm kind of like an everything player. Like I can do a little bit of everything. So like depending on what Brad needs me and what the coaching staff needs me to do during the game, it depends on that.
And lastly, what are some of your personal goals here for this upcoming season?
I mean, I want to win another one, but you know, you never know with how we can play and what our freshmen will do this year. So just like being the best team that we can be.
Awesome. Hannah Muchmore, Bishop Guertin, senior guard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Joined now by senior guard Aaron Carney. And Aaron, you guys are looking for your 5th straight championship here in the state of New Hampshire as a team. You're looking for your 4th straight championship. Which one was the sweetest for you so far?
I think last year was because we kind of found our place on the team, and coming in after like being like the upperclassmen, it was really good to prove that like we didn't follow the seniors or people before us. We won it.
A perfect 23-0 record last year. You personally won your 3rd straight championship. The team won their 4th, but there's some things that everybody can improve on. What are some of the things that you think now as a senior leader on this team that you guys can improve on?
I think we're going to try to keep up our defense and our pressure, as we lost a couple people last year. We have a lot of new kids on the team, so we really need to teach them how we play, really focus on our defense like we always do.
Yeah, you mentioned teach them how you play. What's that style like? What is your guys' style as a program?
We like to play fast-paced, don't really settle in the half court. We like to run on teams. We press a lot to get up in their face and force them to turn it over.
That why the coaches keep the gym at about 100 degrees?
Yes.
And lastly, what are some of your personal goals for the season?
Definitely try to make it 5 and 4 for all of the seniors, and just play as a team and play our best we can.
Hey, don't mean a thing without the ring, right?
Yes.
She's Aaron Carney, Bishop Guertin, senior guard. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Joined now by Bishop Guertin boys head basketball coach John Fisher. Coach, it's your first year here, but not ever. It's not your first rodeo here at Bishop Guertin. Walk me through what your process has been like, not only coaching basketball, but here specifically.
Well, so I've really had the good fortune to coach basketball at a few places, but came to roost here at BG about 17 years ago. I coached boys varsity basketball here for 6 seasons, and then took a little over 10 years off while my sons came up through the ranks, playing junior biddy basketball here in Nashua, junior high school basketball. And then eventually here, when they got here, I came back as an assistant. And then when Coach Regan's wife had a baby last year, he stepped down. And so I'm back here as a head coach. And it's really an awesome opportunity.
What's changed since you've been here? Obviously, a lot has changed around as far as the program is concerned, but with the school and the program, what has changed for you, at least in your eyes?
So I think young people are a little bit different now than they were back then, but because I've had kids coming through the system and stayed involved, I would think that's the only difference is that young people are a little bit different, but every generation is a little bit different. I think that the commitment of the athletes is still as high as it ever was. The talent level is pretty good. It's pretty good here. It's pretty good all around the Nashua area, as I'm sure you're aware if you're making the rounds. If people in Nashua are interested in seeing good quality high school basketball, both at the boys and girls level, I think the Nashua area is just a fine place to catch a good game.
Now down to the nitty-gritty. What kind of a program are you trying to establish here both on and off the court?
So that's a good question. We actually have our parents meeting tonight after the scrimmage. I know we just chatted before this, but I think the important part is, well, some of our personal goals are, I want to win the Sportsmanship Award this year. I think that, we've got the caliber of athletes and the caliber of parents that are here with the program right now to pursue that. I'm really just trying to ensure that the young people in the program, freshman, JV, and varsity, improve. So we're looking for improvement. That's, if you're looking for one overarching goal, I would say improvement. Basketball is an incredible game. It's an incredible opportunity. And I think there's some room for improvement at all levels and their skill level. So I'm looking for improvement, and I'm looking to reinforce good sportsmanship and good citizenship.
I know it's a little bit early to establish long-term goals for the rest of the season, so we'll break it down into the short term. What are some of your goals for the early part of this 2019-2020 season?
That's a good question. There's not a lot of significant varsity experience on the team right now. So some of the early goals are to work on our fundamentals, to make sure that we have what we need going into the season to be competitive. I think athletically, if you see us, it's an athletic bunch, so the potential is there. So some of the early goals are to ensure we have the fundamentals. And then as the season goes on, see if we can probably tighten that up a little bit and then get to the point where we can get competitive. I want to get to UNH. Our goal is to get to UNH. I've been at UNH many times with teams here from Bishop Guertin, and we look forward to getting back to UNH again.
Not a bad goal to have at all.
Not at all.
He's head boys basketball coach John Fisher. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Joined now by Nashua South first-year head girls basketball coach John Bourgeois, a Nashua South alumni. What's it like being back at your old stomping grounds and leading the helm of the girls basketball team?
Yeah, actually, I've been back for the last 7 years. I was coaching boys basketball, and I've been doing that ever since I was in college, so it's nice to be back, but it means a lot to be a varsity coach here, so that's something I've always hoped for.
And with your connections to boys basketball and what you've seen so far with this program, what are some of the biggest differences in terms of style of play that you've been able to ascertain so far?
Honestly, the game's a little bit slower, but it's really a lot of the same. Both boys and girls are just as competitive. They both want to win. A lot of, same offense and defensive concepts, so it's really more the same than any differences.
And when you took over this program, what were some of the things you liked right off the bat?
The kids. I was fortunate enough to get stuck with a good group of kids, and the coaching staff that we were able to put together is something I'm really proud of. So.
Obviously, it's tough to really figure out what you have until you really get going and into some regular season action. But looking ahead to these holiday tournaments and the early season matchups, what are you going to try to accomplish at those?
We just want to compete. Yeah, we like you said, we don't really know what we're getting this year yet. We still have a lot of learning to do, a lot of film study to do, but for right now, we just want to compete every single day, every single week. Whatever our next opponent is, we want to compete that game and give it everything we have.
And as far as establishing a style of play, what's that going to look like for you and your coaching staff?
Yeah, we're looking to move the ball as much as possible. We want to get up and down the floor. We want to have some defensive tenacity. And like I said, we want to compete. We want to be on the floor. We want to get all the rebounds and push the ball.
And obviously too early to make goals for the full season, so we'll keep it early on. What are some of your early season goals in your first year at the helm of the program?
Honestly, I try not to do goals as in terms of wins and losses, but our goal is to compete together every single day and really just put together fundamentals that we're looking to do early on, and we need to apply that right off the bat.
And as far as returning players, whether it be your senior leaders or some returning starters, how helpful have they been for you in this onboarding process?
Oh, it's been awesome. I mean, it's because I've been around for the last 7 years, I've got to know a couple of them. Obviously, I've gotten to know them a lot better now, but it's been a good transition. We've had meetings. I've had meetings with coaches, and we were able to build a rapport so that we can build something early on in the season.
He's first-year girls basketball coach here at Nashua South, John Bourgeois. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Joined now by Nashua South Purple Panthers boys basketball coach Nate Neverett. Thanks so much for joining us. As you look to the beginning part of the season, obviously you can't take too much, you're just kind of getting things going. What do you try to look at in these early season scrimmages and tournaments? What do you try to make out of them?
I like so far that we're playing pretty intensely, and that is all I can ask for right now. We just put in our offense about 5 minutes ago. We have no idea what we're doing. How hard are we working on defense? Are they starting to gel as a unit? It's nice that we have a lot of inexperience, but these kids have played a lot together. So even the kids who haven't been around, they've played with the kids who have, and I think that helps.
As nice as it is to set the full season goals, and you've been here long enough to where you can kind of get away with extrapolating things out, we'll keep it in the early season. What are some of your goals for the beginning part of the season here while we're still in the year 2019?
Last year, and I don't want to base everything off last year, but last year we fouled a lot. So one of our goals is not foul. We play aggressive man-to-man defense. We've worked on that. So building our foundation defensively, that's a goal, but doing so, we want to be a physical basketball team, but we want to be smart, we want to be physical without fouling.
You said you didn't want to talk about last year. I'm going to ask you about last year. What are some of the main things, if you could just pick a couple, that you're going to try to improve on with this year's crop of talent?
This is going to sound like a cop-out, but we want to stay healthy, because last year was a nightmare, but we want to learn to better keep our composure, face adversity a little bit better, be a little bit better moving the basketball. In other words, be unselfish. We do those things, I think we'll be pretty good.
And in years past, you guys have been a very fast run and gun style team. Is that something that you're going to keep up?
We're athletic. I'd like to think we're pretty deep. So yes, we have an advantage of, there's only one other high school in the state that has a floor this long. We want to take advantage of that at least 9 games out of the year.
And what about your senior class? How have they been able to get things going early in the year for your squad?
They're a great group of kids, and most of them have been around, so they have done a nice job setting the tone for this is how we do things at practice. This is what he expects when you're on the floor. And tomorrow, I think, we'll be ready to go because of their leadership.
He's Nashua South boys basketball coach Nate Neverett. Nate, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Joined now by senior forward Stav Alkali. And looking forward to this season, getting into the early part of the year. What kind of style of play are the Panthers going to try to employ this season?
So we're a lot of run and gun. I mean, we have a lot of depth. We have a great young core, and we have top to bottom, we're very strong, and it's going to be a fun year.
And now as one of the senior leaders of this team, what kind of advice or mentorship have you taken from the seniors past that you're going to try to employ this year?
So there was a lot of maturity top to bottom of the seniors before me and even the underclassmen. They were a great group of kids, led by Moody, Casey, and Kayla. They're just a bunch of great kids, and I'll try to replicate that.
And what are some of the things that you guys as a team are going to try to improve on based off of last year's results?
It was a tough loss last year, but we're looking forward. I know Matt's always a great coach. He's always given us advice, and we'll try to look forward to that.
He's senior forward Stav Alkali. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Joined now by senior forward Andres Hulfacker. Thanks so much for joining us. Looking forward to the beginning of this season. What kind of goals do you guys have as a team for these early season tournaments?
These early season tournaments, kind of like to get used to our offense and get used to playing with each other again. It's kind of just going to be a little bit of rebuilding from what we were doing last year, and get to know all of our plays and stuff. And I mean, our plan is just to become the best team that we can possible to win the championship this year.
And how has it been getting things going? Obviously a lot of senior leadership on this team, but what's it been like gelling with some of the newcomers?
I mean, it's pretty easy because we're all really close on and off the court. Some of them are our brothers, little cousins, and I mean, we all know each other really well. We play with each other at the YMCA a lot, outdoor parks, so we already have a good chemistry, which I think will help us in the future a lot.
You guys are a tight-knit group. You've known each other for a long time. You obviously have to set some goals. What are some of those goals that maybe you or your team has for the season?
To win a championship. I mean, we have everything that it takes, and as long as we play like I think we will, there's no team that should be beating us this year.
It don't mean a thing without the ring, right?
Absolutely not.
He's senior forward Andres Hulfacker. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Joined now by senior point guard Ivan Nintenji. You guys obviously like to employ a run and gun, fast style of offense. How do you think that you can improve on that this season?
Well, we're just gonna get down, bring our intensity up. That's all. It's all about intensity. Defense is all about intensity and getting down the court and finding opportunities for our teammates and just getting together like as one. Our chemistry has to be on point.
And what are some things as a whole team unit that you guys can improve on based on last year? Obviously, you've seen it coming up through the system, and now you're one of the senior leaders. If you had to say, what are some of the things that you can improve on?
Definitely defense. That was the main killer. This year we're faster, we're stronger, we're better, we're healthier, and we're wishing for no more injuries, and we're just going to be better than we were last year.
And what kind of stuff has the coaching staff been employing early on? You can't make too much based on just the first couple of practices and preseason tournaments, but what are some of the big things that your coaches are really impressing on you guys?
Defense and offense. Like, we're just going to get into the paint and do whatever we can to score, and we're going to find that way.
Got to stay as well-rounded, right?
Yeah.
He's senior guard Ivan Nintenji. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Joined now by Nashua North girls head basketball coach Kurt Dutilli. It's your first year here at Nashua North. It is not your first year by a long shot coaching basketball, and you've coached about equally on both the boys and the girls sides. What are some of the biggest differences in your eyes, and how do you think your experience with the boys side translates into girls basketball success at the high school level?
Well, I think the biggest difference is the boys' game now. All the players are getting bigger and stronger, and the game's played up or above or at the rim. And the girls' game is still played, down at the floor level pretty much right now. And so it's a little more technical game. You got to be a little tighter in your skills, and you got to be a little sharper in your offensive sets. The boys, more often than not, can make an individual play, elevate up above somebody, or drive by somebody with a little more power than the girls do. So I think that's the primary difference.
You're taking over a program that was eliminated in the first round of the playoffs last year. When you got at the helm of the program and you saw who your players were and what they could do, what was your assessment? What are we going to be looking at for this season?
Yeah, I'm super excited because we have a ton of athletes. I think we're very young. We have 3 seniors, one of which really is the only one that has varsity level experience. So the sophomores and juniors and the freshmen that we're mixing in, very athletic, super fast. We get off the floor well, we get up and down the floor well. I think it's just a matter of them gelling into my system that I'm bringing in. And it's taken a little while to figure out kind of like what we had. And then I've been shaping the system around them, and we've been making little tweaks on a daily basis to make sure that it's fitting their personality. But I couldn't be more excited because I think we do have the talent, obviously to improve this year, but long term to really start to move up those standings.
It's tough for any coach to kind of establish goals and assess what you have early on in the season. So what do you try to make of these early season scrimmages and tournaments? What do you really try to get out of them as a coaching staff?
Yeah, so we're looking at progress in different areas on the floor. So there are very specific things that we want to see happen on offense, specific things we want to see in the transition game, and definitely we have goals on the offensive side as well. And it's not about the results necessarily that you see on the scoreboard. It's about, are we getting to our screens? Are we setting solid screens? Are we boxing out on a regular basis and winning those small internal battles? Do we really know where we are on offense? And can we switch things up quickly? Because I think that's what we're going to need to do. I think we're going to need to be a little deceptive on defense and to be able to force turnovers. When you have a young, mostly inexperienced team, you have to create some easy offensive plays. And I think in the girls' basketball game, a lot of it comes down to turnovers because that creates easy buckets.
You talked about your system that you're trying to establish, and as far as the style of play goes, what are we looking at? What does that system look like?
Yeah, good, solid, strong defense. I mean, I would hope that would be one of my calling cards, and I think we have the athletes to do that. It's just a matter of effort and a little technical assistance. On offense, we're definitely going to push the ball up the floor, but what I really like about this team is I think we're probably 10 deep. And I think we've got a group of players that execute really well in the half court, but I also think we've got a group that gets up and down the floor really, really well. And I think that goes well for us because we can change the pace of the game and play in multiple styles, which will be helpful.
He's first-year Nashua North head girls basketball coach Kurt Dutilli. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck this year.
Thank you very much.
Joined now by Nashua North boys basketball coach Steve Lang. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking at your squad for this year, you've got a lot of returners. What kind of impact do you think that that's going to have in the early part of the season?
Well, we're hoping that last year's experience will, come to the forefront as the season starts and we continue. Obviously, we're just hoping for improvement each and every day. They're still young kids. There's still plenty of our core kids are juniors. We have a couple kids that are the senior group that is going to really help us as well. But I'm looking forward to the season as well.
And speaking of improvements, what are some specifics you're trying to get better on from last year to this season?
Well, if we can create havoc on the defensive end, which is what I tell the kids every day, I give you a lot of freedom on the offensive end. But if you can guard people and create some easy baskets for yourself on the other end, it's going to make life pretty easy for us.
You got a big-time impact player in Curtis Harris. He was injured at the end of the football season. What's he going to be like, and what's his impact going to be like at the beginning of this campaign?
Well, he's a disruptor on the defensive end, and he's such a great teammate to have. And the other kids really enjoy playing with him because he'll distribute. He is an unselfish kid, but we're hoping his health is the first and foremost at this point.
What can everybody look forward to with this year's senior class?
Well, Brendan showed I'm looking for a great year. He had a super junior campaign last year. We got a couple other seniors in Gabe Buxton and Josh Lentz, where we've got some senior leadership, and hopefully those kids can take the reins and help the younger kids along. So,
going with the young guys and the old guys, if you had to wrap that all up and describe your style of play, what would it be?
Hopefully it's going to be frantic. We have a lot of kids who are competing for jobs, as we can see here today. Practice is a lot of fun. And the more competition we get within ourselves, hopefully the better we'll be as a team.
And how do you assess these early season scrimmages and tournaments? What do you kind of make of them as you kind of push towards the end of the season?
Oh, I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. We've practiced. This is literally our second team practice, a team selection. Lebanon's been playing for almost 2 weeks now, so I'm hoping for us to play together as a group and play some defense tomorrow, and we'll take some positive out of that.
He's Nashua North boys basketball coach Steve Lane. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming down. I appreciate it.
Matt Neverett joined by Curtis Harris. Curtis, thank you so much for joining us. You're a football star, basketball sensation. How do you balance the two as far as heading from football into basketball? What kind of goes on in your mind when you make that switch?
Well, at first, it's kind of a hard transition, obviously going from, football where like you're stopping every play to basketball where it's constant motion. So I try to get my running in during basketball, hopefully it transitions easy and then, just go from there.
And you're coming off a knee injury that ended your football season, unfortunately. How has that transition been like for you heading into basketball, where, as you mentioned, you're doing a lot of running?
Yeah, I did a great rehab with Jerry Holland at a performance rehab, so he helped me get better, and now I'm good now.
So looking forward to this season. Coach Lane really speaks highly of you, and he speaks highly of the seniors and the rest of the team. What are your expectations as far as these early season contests?
We're projected pretty high, so I guess I hold my team to higher standards as well. Hopefully we can just get it done.
Now we got Coach Lane's answer on this, but what would you describe the team's style of play as?
Fast.
Easy enough. And obviously you don't want to look too far ahead as far as full season expectations, so we'll keep it in the beginning part of the season. What are you trying to accomplish, and what is your team trying to accomplish early on in the season?
I guess overall just trying to get to the championship and hopefully win it this year.
And lastly, what are some of the things that you personally are trying to improve on from last basketball season to this year?
My scoring. I think I need to score more this year than last year.
He's Curtis Harris. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
With the 2019-2020 season underway, all three of Nashua's high school's boys and girls basketball programs have one thing at the top of their mind: a New Hampshire state championship. For Nashua ETV, I'm Matt Neverett.